Hi everyone, it's Judy. Welcome back to Rose Lane. Okay, so this is the part 2 that's coming to the back of the first one that I did, where you saw me putting all of this together. Now this took a while, a really long while, to dry. So I was going to actually do this last week and finish it off, but it wasn't dry yet. So I chose to do the pages, which you might remember, this was the beginning of those pages, and I added another little fairy here. I'll probably add more stuff to it as I go along. But that was the pages that would be in the middle signature for the story that's going in this journal. This is going to be the cover. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to make this look like tree bark. So I mentioned that I got this idea from, it's a brand new brush here, just from Musings by Nikki. She did a video on this about 3 or so years ago, and I had been wanting to do it and never did. So I'm giving it a try. I have no idea how this is going to turn out. We may get a completely different cover on this book. I don't know. So I do have to go around the inside just a little bit with what I do. May or may not in this video. I don't know how long this is going to take, so we'll see. I'm just using acrylic paints, and she says first to cover the whole thing with black, and then I've got a variety of brown shades here. There's a couple of brown shades, and actually I have some other ones if I really wanted to, but I don't think I'm going to need too many. Might have to get a little white or something to lighten some up a little bit. I don't know. We'll see. But let's get started. I'm going to just get started doing this, and I will talk to you as we go. So anyway, once this cover is finished, it will have, I'm trying to get into all the little nooks and crannies inside this little thing. Probably use the whole bottle of black paint just to get into all these nooks and crannies. And I don't want to make it real thick. Don't mind squishing it in, but I want to kind of like thin it out if I can. Once it's all done and painted and dry, I will go back with some moss and, you know, maybe a few leaves or something. I don't know. We'll see what I have and kind of just dress it up a little bit, you know, just zhuzh it up a little, as they say. So we want to get down in there. So I will say this, today is Monday when I'm doing this, and it's supposed to go up for Tuesday. Now the other one, as you know, was done a little while back when I mentioned it in there, and I just said now that it took a while for this to dry, so I had to skip a week with this until it was all dry. It was dry a couple days later, but I had already had the other, you know, the other video up, so I'm only doing this for right now on Tuesdays. If I don't get it done before the end of May, which I hope I will, then I'll continue on any other days to maybe finish it up, but hopefully I will have it done. Now, that being said, let me just say this. I think I mentioned in the video from last week, I think it was from last week, that I had a little bit of trouble with my back. And it was, you know, giving me a couple of little gotchas, but it wasn't too bad. I was functioning, I was doing. And after a couple of days, by Wednesday, actually, it really, I'm going to just kind of hold this up so I can see inside, guys. So sorry while I'm doing this part, because you can't really see what I'm doing. By Wednesday, it was okay. And Thursday, I was fine. And Friday, I was great. And everything was fine. Now, that being said, I have pain every day, as most of us, you know, older gals do. So I do have pain every day. But, you know, you kind of learn to live with the aches and pains of age as it goes, and your conditions and things like that. And, you know, so I mostly have pretty decent days. I function. I'm good. Saturday morning, which was, what was that, the 13th, I woke up and I felt absolutely fantastic. And one of those days happens every rare once in a while, okay? every rare once in a while, I have a really fantastic morning when I wake up and I don't have a headache and I don't have neck pain and my back is not so bad. And I'm feeling at that point, you know, at my older age, that I can practically conquer the world today. I was going to do so many things. So I took care of all my emails and I was kind of, you know, taking it slow, but, you know, knew I had a lot of things that I wanted to do. And I don't know if I'm really going to get in there, but I think I can remedy that by getting it from the outside. So I had all these things that I wanted to do. And so I got up, I took my shower. It was perfect. The water temperature was perfect. It was just great. I come back into my room and, you know, I do my deodorant and my, you know, body lotion and put all that stuff on, you know, and powders and whatever it is I'm doing, and comb out my hair and all of that. And stood up from the bed to go back into the bathroom to dry and set my hair. And I took 3 steps and fell to my knees. My back just seized right up, clear out of the blue, no warning whatsoever. And I was just like, you're kidding me. So I could barely walk. Then of course now I'm upstairs. Okay. To get down here, I have to come down 2 flights of stairs. I have to come from the from the second floor to the first floor and the first floor to the basement. So, you know, that's not happening. So my husband was away for the weekend. He was at camp for kids over the weekend because I am going to be at a camp for the ladies this week. So he got to go to the kids camp this week. And so here I am, and I'm thinking I'm going to do this video and all that kind of stuff. And needless to say, it wasn't happening. So I tried calling the chiropractor. Of course, he was closed. They were closed, I should say, because there's a couple or 3 doctors, I think, in the practice there. And so I'm taking ibuprofen. I'm putting muscle rub on. I'm, you know, if I can get up, I'm walking at literally bent at a 90-degree angle, literally bent at 90 degrees. I can't stand up for more than 2 minutes, walking or otherwise, and I have to stop and sit down. I have to constantly stay bent. As long as I'm sitting, I'm good. As soon as I stand up, I can't. So called the chiropractor, needless to say, first thing this morning. So I spent a wonderful Mother's Day, all, you know, jammed up like this, sitting on the couch. I got a lot of fussy cutting done, I will say that, because that was about all I could do. And unfortunately, my brother-in-law who lives with us was here, so he made sure that there was food for us to eat, and, you know, et cetera, et cetera. I'm gonna squeeze out some more of this paint. And by the way, this paint is not expensive. These are just cheap little bottles of acrylic paint. I got a bunch of these from, clean that off. I'm going to try to keep the paint off of me as much as possible. Ha ha ha. But anyway, so my brother-in-law made sure that, you know, I just gave him my credit card and said, go to, you know, Long John Silver's and get some food. And then I was like, okay, now, you know, go to Burger King and get some food. It's like I couldn't cook and he can't cook. So that wasn't happening. Anyway, so that's how I spent Mother's Day. My husband came home in the afternoon. He's like, oh my goodness. I was like, yeah, I know. So called the chiropractor this morning and they got me in just a matter of like about an hour and a half after I called. They gave me, you know, they had an appointment that I could go in. They squeezed me in, fortunately, because I was a previous patient. I had been there before, so I had history with them, so it was easier for them to squeeze me in. And so I went, and I had the lady this time, Dr. Brady, and she was really very nice. And she's like, boy, oh boy, your muscles are fighting me. I said, I don't mean to let them fight you. I'm trying not to let them fight you. So just absolutely insane with this. So as I'm doing this, like I said, I'm gonna go back, and wherever I see that it's still wet, I'll just run the brush over, kind of dry it out and run the brush over it, and get any, because the acrylics will dry quickly, and get whatever extra paint is in there out so it will dry. So it's looking pretty cool. Isn't that cool? I was hoping it looked like an ancient tree. So, and if you watch the previous video before this one, because I'm putting them up back to back, even though I did them like 10 days apart, I can see this is gonna, oh no, that's all right. Well, it might be. I might have to glue that a little bit down, but that's okay. It's a little squishy. Simply means it's not really attached to something right here. So I've got like a little bubble or something, but I can fix that. Always fixable, because this is ancient tree bark and does not have to be perfect, right? So, so anyway, so she probably worked on me for about 20 minutes. And when I stood up, I was kind of at a 45-degree angle, but still could not walk more than about 2 or 3 minutes before I had to sit down. I had to go from the back of the office through the office and outside to the parking lot. And by the time I got to the door to go outside, I said to my husband, that's it. I'm done. I reached my limit. Got to get in the car. Got to get in the car. Got to sit now. So that was my story today. But we had, I don't know if anybody is familiar with these new ways of doing remote meetings. Because of COVID, they became very popular. I suppose it was out there before then, but they became very, very popular. And as they did with our church as well, because people couldn't meet when you needed to get together with your, church leaders. We just couldn't, you couldn't, because, COVID restrictions and all that. So, but it became so popular that now it's very commonplace that we have our meetings like this, and many times that we have our meetings like this. So we had one today at 10 o'clock. So I'm sitting, it took me like an hour just to, wash my face, brush my teeth, and get on some clothes. Pathetic, I tell you. It's just pathetic. And so it took me a little while to get ready, and then I sat down for the Teams meeting. My husband was on his phone with the insurance people for our building, because if anybody knows anything about Johnstown, Pennsylvania, its nickname is Flood City. Now, we have not experienced that. However, our church is right on one of the rivers, and they had done some extensive work years ago to help alleviate the possibility of having massive floods again. And the Army Corps of Engineers did this to the river that we are on, and they kind of made these V'd sides. Well, we're right on one of those. Something has happened to our roof drain pipe, apparently years ago, that has made it so that, oh, look at all those little white spots in there. That's made it so that our roof drain pipe has broken, and the water now, instead of running out off the roof and through the pipe into the wall of the river as it's supposed to, has been apparently for decades, it seems, run through, the pipe has broken and it's been running through the ground, which has created voids in our property, like sinkholes. Small, but nonetheless many. And really trying to keep clean, but I don't think I'm going to manage it. So anyway, oh, and by the way, I've got the back cover here, which is just flat. I'm not doing any not like this on it, but I'll do that one off screen. We're just gonna work on this one, and hopefully I'll get them to match. So anyhow, so yeah, so we've got the Army Corps of Engineers involved. We've got the City of Johnstown involved. We've got our insurance company involved, because we have a little garage that is supposed to be a garage, but we actually use it as a food pantry. And it's cracking because the back of the building is sinking because of the issues with the ground. So he was on his phone handling that. You think it's just Sunday church, right? Nope. Nope. He was on his phone handling that. I'm on my phone on the Teams meeting for our regional meeting between the other churches that are in our region. And I'm doing that. We both hang up our phones. We run out to the chiropractor. She takes me in. And then from there, we run down to our church because we have a council meeting, a church council meeting with our church members to discuss some of the things that are going on at the church. So, like, but I did get pizza out of it, which was nice. And pizza and salad. And so then we just came home. So I sat for a little while because the doctor said she wanted me to put ice packs on my back. So, excuse me, I'm shifting in my chair. If I moan and groan, you'll know why. I'm actually gonna let me put one of these on. I think I took them out and didn't put it on, but it would probably be wise because I'm coming to a place where I'm gonna have to start handling this, and I really don't want to get it on my fingers if I can help it. So I sat for a while with the ice pack on my back, 15 minutes on, 15 minutes off for about an hour. And then I was like, I've got to get this video done. It's got to be up for tomorrow. That was my day. That was my promise. That was my commitment. I've got to do it. So I held on to the walls and the furniture. I came downstairs. Now, the chair I sit in happens to be ergonomically a very comfortable chair, but I also have a pillow. It's a feather pillow, actually, that I keep behind my back for extra support because I can mush it to, wherever I feel I need to, put some pressure, and it helps to support my back. So I've got that behind my back. And like I said, as long as I'm sitting, I'm not so bad. It's the getting up and moving around that's giving me the problem. So, okay. So that kind of brings you up on my saga for the day. Yeah, what fun. Let me try to get this down here a little bit. I'm going to spin this and try to find a drier spot that I can put my finger to hold this still. So I'm a little concerned because I do have our women's ministries camp. If any of this doesn't dry like stiff and it's soft, I'll go back and fix any little, like here's a little puffy part here. It didn't dry against anything, the little puffy part here. But if the paint doesn't keep it from moving, I will just press all around it and make little slits and add some glue and cut it back, and push it back and see if I can get it to cooperate with me. Again, I'm not, for the sake of time, going to flip this over and do the edges. Actually, maybe I will. Maybe I will. Let's go ahead and do that because I have black paint here. So let's go ahead and try to get this painted. I don't know how much of that is going to come off on the front where I just, where I'm leaning it on that tree knot. So, but now I think I talked to you about, I've mentioned about my writing stories, that I like to write stories. And I think I had mentioned that for a gift, when my first grand nephew was born, the first baby of our babies, as I say, when he was born, Ryder, for his christening, I made him a scrapbook. That's when I was first starting out looking at junk journals and stuff. And I didn't really know how to do the junk journals at that point. I was just starting. I was looking at scrapbooking stuff for the most part at that point. And so I made him a scrapbook. I wanted to make him a scrapbook, but I wrote him a story. Well, who knew that my wonderful nephews and my niece now were going to be so prolific in giving us babies that now I've got 4 and a 5th one on the way. So, which I'm thrilled about. So Ryder has a little sister, and I'm sure I've mentioned this before. Her name is Francesca, and So I owe Francesca sort of a scrapbook story book kind of thing. And then they belong to my nephew, Justin, and his brother, his twin brother, Jeffrey, also has a boy and a girl, Walker and Ellie, who I also owe stories to. What a surprise. And and now my niece, my sister's daughter, is having a little girl. So we'll have 3 little girls and 2 little boys. So I owe them, her a story as well. So Ellie was going to have a fairy story, and her name is Ellie Rose, and I thought I liked the fairy story idea for her because Ellie Rose just sounds like it could be a fairy name to me. So she's going to have the fairy story. So story that I'm doing here for this book is really taken from Ellie's story, what I'm going to write for Ellie, what my ideas were for Ellie, for her story. However, it's going to be a little bit more grown up for this journal because, you know, it's not really meant to be a kid's journal, necessarily. Not a little girl's journal anyway. So even though the story is partly about Ellie, when I write Ellie's story, it'll be a little more cutesy than this story, okay? So I'm really going in way too far with this. I don't have to go in that far. Look at that. Okay, let's see. Try to wipe my fingers off a little bit. I don't care if my gloves have it all over it, as long as I don't get it all over everywhere else. All right, so let's see what we have here. All right, I can see I need a little more in there. All right, okay, so a little more in here. And I'm not worried. I need more down here. I'm sorry if my face gets in here, guys. I apologize, truly. All right, a little more down in there. I'm trying to get the black really everywhere, even though I'm going to go over it for the most part with the browns and things. Trying to get it as deep in the crevices as I can. All right, I think that is probably okay. Now I'm going to, look at that. I'm going to clean this brush a little bit. I'm not too concerned about, you know, the black being in the brush. Now my water is totally black. I'm not real concerned about that because, you know, I'm mixing all these colors anyway. But I want to get as much of the black out as I can. I don't know if this is going to help because this water is as black as the paint in the jar. I'm going to try a little something. Try a little something. See if I can clean this a little bit better here. I'm just pouring this off into the garbage because I have so many paper towels in this garbage. It's just crazy. I'll try to not knock my paper towel holder over. If I'm getting too much black paint in here, which I think I'm still getting too much black paint. Oh, it's coming out. It's coming out. That's not too bad. All right, I'm just going to put that there. All right. Let me fold this. Ooh, look, it's like one of those psychology tests, the butterfly. Let me just turn this a little bit. All right, I'm gonna put some brown paints out. So I'm gonna go from darker to lighter. So I think the darkest thing I have is burnt sienna, I think. So let's see what we have. Let this continue to dry a little bit. And I'm just squeezing this stuff out on an empty cellophane bag here. Okay, I think this needs to be shaken because it wants to, it's kind of oily. Not oily, but it looks like it's kind of separated. Honestly, some of these paints, I don't know how long I've had them, in all honesty. So, It must have been in here at some point. I don't know what's going on with this one, so let's see what we have. Let's see. I will open it this way. It is stubbornly stubborn. It's very thick and sticky, but I'm not worried about that at all. I will mix it up. And it should be fine. I think it just separated. I'm gonna need a lot of the darker, so let's get that out there. It's like chocolate pudding. Okay, close that one up. All right. Okay, so let me just kind of mash that a little bit. I am not concerned. We're gonna go over this like so. Okay. It may be a little hard for me to tell what I'm covering and what I'm not. Hopefully I won't leave too much black showing. I don't want it to look scary and, you know, gothic looking. I just want it to look old and ancient, but not scary. I want a friendly tree. So, okay. I'm hoping. I may have to at some point take this out into the sunlight, which of course I won't do here, but we'll see what I can do with it. All right, let me go in the middle now and get some of this stuff in here. So I'm anxious to see what it'll look like finished, you know, with all the moss and, you know, stuff on it. I think it would be, it's gonna look kind of neat. So this is fun. What's fun about this is that you can't make a mistake, you know, and I never claimed to be a painter, believe me. So, and if you, like I started to say before, if you watched the video before this one, you saw the paper towel was tearing, it was getting stuck to my fingers. It was just horrible. So I was having all kinds of issues with it. I certainly didn't look like any kind of a pro, that's for sure. And, but that's okay because it's old bark and that's fine, you know? That's just fine. So this is, like I said, it's kind of fun. I think the paint is making some of the paper towel a little softer. Again, because I'm wetting it. And of course I used a water-based glue. Just used Elmer's glue on this. So I'm going to try to hold it from this end because this end is going to be under, oh no, this end. Oops, okay. This end is going to be under the cover for the spine. So turn this around this way and I can hold it from here. So if I don't get this completely covered, you know, perfectly under here, that's fine because it's going to be covered up. So we won't worry about that. So I don't mind some of the black, like I said. I just don't want big chunks of it. And more than likely when the paint dries, I'm guessing, the glue should dry as well. And that will, kind of a lump in there, that will make it hard again, like it was before I started painting. So that should be good. I do want to get some under here if I can. Okay. I'll probably go back on the other part inside and do the, you know, the underside, because honestly, you're not going to see much of it. You really aren't, but you have to make sure that there's something so that the end papers inside the cover will, you know, go right up against where there will be bark, quote unquote. So that should be good. All right. Okay. The brown and the black are so similar for me, honestly. And of course with the wet, you know, because it's wet and it's shining, I have no clue if I've missed spots or if anything looks too dark or too brown or too black or whatever it might be. But okay, so we have that. So I'm going to do with this paintbrush, put a little bit more brown up here, just because. Oh, let me get these edges. Just a wee bit. Yeah, see, that's kind of thick there. I'm going to get another paintbrush to do the next colors, because we want a little more contrast. We want to brighten it up a little bit. So I'm gonna leave that sit on there. Let me find my paintbrush pack here. Yes, I'm making noise. We'll get another paintbrush out here. I can undo this. Here we go. Out you come. Okay, I'm gonna push this back. And let's see. It's kind of a reddish, and that's not. Let's see if I can get these to squeeze out. I don't know. Like I said, I've had some of these paints for literally a decade. I should probably get my heat gun and blow this, but I don't have an outlet nearby for this. So, all right, let's see. We have this color. Very cool. And this one I said, right? This one says nutmeg. Ah, I've been in this one before. Okay. All right. And you know what's neat is, I don't know how well you can see this, but if you look right here, you can actually see the perforations from the paper towel. These little dents. You can see them here, but it looks natural. It looks like part of the bark. It's very cool. So I gotta get this to come down because I don't have that much. Oh, that's a nice one. All right, we like that one. We like that one. All right. We're gonna go with this one though, because this one is a little bit darker. We're gonna just sort of dry brush in here. You don't want that too thick. Just wanna brighten up the dark a little bit, which is why I changed the brush, because I didn't want all the water in it, and I didn't want the other colors, the other browns in there so much. So it's actually lifting off some of the darker paint. That's all right. That is all right. Okay. So I don't want to get it like deep into the crevices, as I just jam that in there and get it really deep into the crevices. I just kind of want to go along the tops and get that. Highlight the color a little bit. Okay. Oops, sorry, I stopped talking. Okay. So I'm suspecting that this is going to take another couple of days to dry, which is fine. I may, just depends on my timing, excuse me, for how quickly, you know, I can get the rest of this book done, because I've cut the pages for the journal part, and because of the size of the cover, because I'm sticking to it, because of the size of the cover, because I wanted it big enough to be able to do this, I had to use really large paper and cut it down, unless I wanted to seam it like I seamed the decorative paper. And the only reason why I seamed the decorative paper was because I couldn't make the decorative paper big enough. So, but tea dyed or coffee dyed or whatever I'm going to do, probably a combination of both, in this journal. Whoops, it's coming towards me. Will be, I needed them to be, you know, bigger pages. So I had, I think it's 11 by 17 paper. I have quite a bit, actually, of 11 by 17 paper. Just plain, you know, plain copy paper. So I folded that in half and then cut it down to the size that I would need to make the, you know, to match the size of the cover. Well, a little smaller than the cover. So yeah, all this stuff that I see here that's so soft was very hard. So I'm assuming, because I'm using a water-based kind of paint with the acrylic paints, I'm just making the glue wet, and it will dry again. One will hope. So, and I'm not worried about letting this dry in between coats of paint, you know, for different colors of paint, because it all needs to sort of blend. So I'm happy with that. So I think, oops, I dropped something. Oh, this actually got down here by accident. It was a letter from one of our parishioners. She's a special needs young lady, and her special ministry that she likes to say is she likes to write letters to people, tell them how much she loves them. So she's a regular little doll. So I'm going to try to get rid of some of the brown, the darker brown, out of this. And then we're going to go over it with this lighter brown. I know this doesn't look very exciting. The first video was all white. This one's all brown. It doesn't look real exciting, I know. But I promise you, it will look really nice in the end. I hope. I hope. So this one I can put on just a little bit lighter, or a little bit, you know, thicker some. Oops, I got a spot in there. And I can always go back and touch those up too at a later date. So I'm just sort of brushing this over the top to give it some highlight, I hope. I don't want it too heavy and thick, and particularly not in the creases so much. And I don't mind that staying in there a little darker. That's fine. But, because, you know, it's supposed to look like it's deep recess in the tree. So, okay. Alrighty. This is coming along quite nicely, considering I was very unsure. But you know, I was part of the collaboration, which is still going on, for junk journal inspiration, and I can't remember the whole name offhand now off the top of my head. It's a Facebook group by Mandy and Justine, and I do belong to it, and they were kind enough to ask me to take part about, it's called May You Be Inspired By, and so it was about telling everybody how you kind of got started in junk journaling, and I'm going to just come back in here because I got a little too much light in there. There we go. And giving some tips and tricks and stuff. And my part of what I had said was, don't be afraid to try. Just do it. And so many of the ladies have said the same thing, who are involved in this collaboration. Just do it. Just, you know, what harm could happen, right? And honestly, what could go wrong with this? Really, if I could do this, anybody could do this. So yeah. So I think I'm happy with it for the most part. Oh, you know what? Let me just, do have to get some down in here. Just a wee bit inside so it's consistent, right? Just a little, put a little highlights there. I may go back after it dries, and like I said, may take it out in the sunlight and have a good look at it after it dries and see what I think. But I think that is where I'm going to leave it. So I'm going to try to, I just stood up, so I don't know how long this is going to last. I could see a spot in there I can fix. But that is my tree trunk cover. Okay, time's up. Gotta sit. It's hurting. Ouch. Okay, oh my goodness. Okay, so I just want to thin that out a little bit. Like I said, if I don't like it, I can always go back in and put a little more dark paint on it. It will be no problem. But I'm really happy with that. More or less. You can see a little bit more to light here. All right, good. All right, that's good. I'll have to go clean out my paintbrushes now. But that's it for now, guys. I know I'm all like icky. So that's the second part of finishing, well, getting the cover ready to have all its decoration put on it. And like I said, I'll put some of that, you know, moss and maybe some leaves or something. And I don't know, we'll have to see what I can put on there. But, and then from this side around will be the paper that I showed in the beginning. I just think it would look pretty. And we'll see what I can do to zhuzh up the spine with that as well. So that's it. So that's it for today, for this Tuesday. So next week, hopefully we'll be working on the journal pages, give you an idea about how that's going to look. And in between, I'll work on more of the decorative pages, the story. Hopefully by the end of the month, I will be able to have this completed and do a flip through. And let's see what happens with that. So that's it for today, guys. I hope you'll be happy, you'll be safe, and you'll be blessed. And I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye for now.